Now we're kind of back to wintry. It was really, I don't know, 50 degrees or something, and just too warm. But we're back in our little cold bubble. So you can blanket up if you're somewhere where you want to blanket up. I'm going to. I usually have my little heater on, but it was so warm that I put it away. Obviously, should have kept it out. I should know better. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and find a comfortable seat to start with. And you can let your shoulders kind of slump over or round the back. That's fine as you wiggle through the neck and the shoulders. Make some big shoulder rolls. Or roll through the neck. Feel free to shake or stretch the arms. And as you're settling in, maybe close the eyes if you want to. You don't have to, of course. Maybe you want to look at somewhere that's right in front of you. As you just let your body begin to settle. Take note of all of the different sounds that are in your soundscape. For instance, I can hear my dryer and some other ambient sounds around. So allow ourselves a moment to acknowledge all those sounds and any distractions. And then start to pair that with sensations, feelings on the body, warmth and coolness. We're taking some time to allow what's going on around us to happen, and then pairing it with what's happening physically, maybe with your train of thought. If you can slow it down. Eventually, trying to spend more time, more of your awareness on the breath. More of your awareness on your physical sensations. And just let this sort of play back and forth happen for another 5 or so breaths as you transition into practice. We're not necessarily trying to turn off any thought or sensation or distraction, but just acknowledge that it's there. Slowly retrain and train yourself to make those acknowledgements and come back to breath. And stillness. when you're ready, we're going to make our way onto our back. So right away, coming all the way onto the back with your, you've got your strap close. And all those props, like the bigger props, moving them out of the way. Let's turtle the dog. I'm gonna put my blanket down. You can have blocks if you've got blocks close, that's fine, but we'll go directly onto our back here. And once you get onto your back, wiggle. Maybe you want to push into the back of the head to lift the shoulder blades and let that settle back down. Maybe you want to slide the feet in, lift the hips, tuck the tailbone. Feel free to keep the feet planted. And we'll be spending a bit of time on the back. Once you're down, we're going to repeat that same process of allowing all the activity around you to move into your periphery. And just feel the difference between the hardness of your floor, even if you have carpeting, but how that is hard and flat. And then the curvaceousness of your body, the softness. You can feel where your body touches the ground. The hard surface coming up to meet your body. And then awareness of the space between the floor and your body, where you've got curves that lift. And then we're going to slowly drag the heels in. Move my strap out of the way. And hug both knees in. And you can take the knees rather wide. So we've got the back flat. You can feel the imprint of the whole spine on the ground. And you don't necessarily need to raise the feet up towards the ceiling into an Andanasana or the happy baby yet. You could take your strap to the back of the thighs and just use your weight of your arms to hug in. And feel free to roll through the ankles, point and flex. Shoulders nice and heavy. And then while we're here, taking some deep breaths, and as you're breathing in, you can feel how your abdomen and chest expand, and naturally the legs will come away from the body. And then as you exhale, naturally the legs will hug in. I'm being a little bit dramatic about it from showing a big rock through the pelvis. Breathing in and hugging. And you're welcome to make a bigger rock if that feels good. Or just working on the heaviness of the arms and the shoulders and the back of the head. And allowing for that softer rock as you breathe in and out. We're going to spend another 7 breaths here. Just the weight of the legs and the arms and the breath are doing the work for you. So we're on 3, 3 more inhales and exhales. Last one. With your strap, you're going to slip it out or remove it as we plant the right foot and string it behind the right thigh. And we're just going to start to kick the right foot up and down. So you don't necessarily need to do this very quickly or very slowly. Just get the sense of pressing out. And maybe you can feel, when my back is rather tight like it is right now, I can feel this up the back side of my body, kind of around the middle of the hip. And then rather than just kicking up and down, we're going to turn the knee out to the side and then kick off to the side and back. So you're kind of kicking out at half of a V shape. And we're going to continue to change that trajectory. So you'll bring the knee back in and maybe try and kick across the body. And then we'll stay with this kicking, and you can decide which direction was most beneficial for your hip or your leg. And maybe you want to kind of move back and forth. I'm sort of moving back and forth, and we'll spend another 5 or so of these kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, with that right leg above you, we're going to start, and you might have your blocks close if you want them. We're going to bring that right leg all the way across the body, and you could bring a block towards the ground so your leg rests on that block, and we're rolled all the way to the left. We'll just pause here for a moment and let yourself get set up. With or without the block, that will help determine how much of a twist you want right now. We're kind of rolled all the way onto the left side, the left hip. Pause for a moment. We are going to start to move that right leg in just a moment. So if you've got the block there, just know that you might need to scoot it out of the way again. So that when you feel ready, we're going to make big sweeps like we're riding half of a bicycle with that right leg pressing out, hugging in along the floor. So kick towards the side, draw the leg back down towards the bottom of your mat or space. And then once we've done 1 or 2 more in this direction, go ahead and bicycle the leg the other direction. If you enjoyed having the block to support your leg, slip it back under the right leg and pause. We're now going to take the right arm and brush along the floor above the head as you peel the chest open, and then exhale, roll back. So we're gonna open and then roll back. Our low half of the body stays where it is, and we're just peeling open into a twist in the torso and back as much as you would like. The next time that you peel your chest open, we'll pause. So it does not need to be a very big twist. You could bring that left arm underneath the head, right arm reaching, or twist your chest more. Totally up to you as we pause here for 5 breaths. And just remember that in our twists, we're not necessarily pushing into a new sensation. We don't want to press into anything very deep. Just let the twist sort of happen. And as your body shifts and changes, and your breath shifts and changes, maybe that will lead you into a bigger or a deeper sensation. And now, as you begin to roll back, we're going to let this right leg start to sweep behind you. We'll roll back and then allow that right leg to sweep out in front as you peel the chest open. And then as you peel the chest closed, that right leg sweeps behind you again. We're just going to do 5 or so of these. Peel open, roll back, peel open, roll back. Maybe that right leg sweeps behind you more. And one last time. And then we'll draw the knees to touch. You can curl up in a little ball if you would like. Maybe wiggle the hips, and in your own time, roll back onto your back. Okay, so that's a pretty big hip series. Take a moment. You want to wiggle, shift. Now you know that we're going to be moving. If you need to make any changes to your space, make changes. I need to flip all the way around. And we'll start where we began. Sliding the heels in, planting the feet. Make sure you've got your whole spine imprinted on the ground. And then we'll hug the left knee in. Slide the strap behind the thigh, shoulders nice and heavy. Just hug the left knee into the chest, the left thigh. And when you're ready, we'll begin to kick the leg up and down. Keep kicking. And then maybe you want to turn, rock the knee off to the sides or kicking out at a V shape. Finally. And you can explore bringing the leg across the body. This is the one that really can get into that outer hip, or even in your calf. And then now explore all these different directions. Feel free to stay in one of the directions a bit longer. And we'll just take 5 more. Next time that the left leg is lifted, we'll begin to roll off to our side, off to the right side. I'll scoot back more. So we're all the way on our side. And I've placed a block to capture my leg for a moment. I can just get used to rolling on the side, letting the leg be heavy, reconnecting body to the ground. My right knee is bent. Softening into the floor. And then we'll do our half of a bicycle as you bring the left leg down towards the other foot, and then hug the knee back into the chest, kick out, make these bicycle kicks on your side. And the low half, everything that touches the floor remains steady and heavy. We'll go in the other direction. And then pause. If you liked having the block there for the foot, we'll keep that there. And now the left arm is going to begin to peel open into a chest twist, and exhale, roll back. I'm going to move my plant. So we're trying for maybe 5 of these, peeling open and curling in. And then we'll pause in your version of the chest twist for 5 breaths. And the last part of this is that as you roll back onto the right side, that left leg is going to start to sweep around you, maybe even reaching behind you. And then we'll inhale, open, sweep the leg off to the side, open the chest, and exhale back. One or two more. And after this last one, you can hug the knees in. We'll pause, curl up in a little ball on your side for a moment. And you're welcome to roll back onto the back, but we're going to make our way to the all fours. And feel free to have blocks with you. Maybe you want your blocks at the medium height. So we can take our knees a little bit wider and just start to sweep the hips around, allow the head to be nice and heavy. Getting into the outer edges of the body. When you want to switch directions. Coming all the way to a flat-ish back. And we'll step the right foot back and start to shift back and forth. Give yourself enough room so when we do come up to the lunge, you feel stable. And then we're going to flip the foot over and start to drag the knee up and then press back. This is a little bit different. And if you're like me and you've got that blanket there, you might want to move it out of the way. But we're going to step back and then flip the toes over and then pull and drag and then press back. Pull and drag so the toe is still over if that's available. And then maybe slide back. We'll just do 2 more. Pull and drag. Press. And this last time that you're pulling and dragging, continue to drag the foot forward. That could mean that you're using the block to give yourself some more space. Okay. And then we're going to take the right hand on top of the right knee and just let the head hang as we make big circles. And a block underneath the left hand might be useful. You just let the head hang. And we'll make big circles in the other direction. Go ahead and start to set yourself up with the right knee over the right ankle. Feel free to rotate those blocks and press down into the blocks to come up to all fours, or interlace the fingers on top of the thigh. So I'm going to move over a little bit. See me. And then we'll just use our next inhale to sweep the arms up, looking up, and as you exhale, let the arms sweep down, chin to the chest. Inhale, sweep up, and exhale, down. Couple more. And the next time that you're coming down, we'll fold forward, knees underneath the hips, and move the blocks out of the way. And your choice, child's pose or a cat-cow if you prefer. So that you can set yourself up on your second side. And this time, we're stepping the left foot back, toes flip over, and then flip the toes back over. Top of the foot is pushing into the ground as you start to slide and drag that knee forward. Like I said, if you want your blocks, that's fine. Flip the foot over, drag, and then maybe press back. Flip, drag. Maybe press back. We'll try 3 more. And now after this last one, we'll flip and drag, and then continue to step that left foot forward. Head nice and heavy. As we make our big circles, you can slide the left hand to the top of the left thigh or knee. Right hand could be on the block. I'll let the head maintain its heaviness. And start to go the other direction. And we'll plant, Create space for your lunge. Slide and interlace the fingers on top of the left thigh so you can get your stability here. And then we'll reach the arms up, maybe look up. And then as you exhale, let them sway back down. Just inhale up and exhale. Last one. And when the arms come down, we'll shift our weight forward to all fours, press the ground away. Repeat knees underneath the hips, maybe big toes come to touch, or you want a cat-cow. We're gonna come off of our knees. And you can walk yourself back and swing the legs around. As we create a wider V shape with the legs. Feel free to move that flesh out of the way from your bottom. And you could also use your blocks underneath the knees. But start to rock the legs. So you've got a kind of pigeon toe and then open, rock back and forth. Whatever that rotation looks like for you. You're kind of rocking on the heels. 8 or 10 times. And then we're going to pause and move into a forward fold. And I'll turn to the side. This is one where we're going to keep the flat back. Maintaining that flat back could be hands on blocks or the ground or the behind the legs as you come forward. So we have our flat back. It could be crawling forward. But notice if you're tensing in the thighs, try and soften the thighs. And try and keep the toes and the kneecap facing the ceiling as you rotate through your pelvis. Like I said, that might mean blocks or blocks out in front. Again, you don't need to create a very intensive sensation to know that it's working. When you decide where you want to be, maybe a couple of rocks or wiggles, feel free to support the head. Place the hands on the forehead or over the eyes. And we'll spend another 7 breaths here. And imagine that the sternum continues to slide forward. And always, as your body begins to shift and change, you can shift and change with it. Move blocks, fold forward more, unwind more. 5 more breaths. Two more breaths. And start to walk yourself back up. We're going to assist the legs together. And then slide the heels in so that we can roll a cat and cow along the spine as much as possible, keeping the feet in contact with the floor. If you want more of a challenge, maybe raise the arms up. As you tuck and roll, push into the feet to lift. Couple more. And now the next time that you're coming up, we'll extend the legs, keep the right leg out, and slide the left foot in. You can take that right leg more off to an angle if you wanted to. We're gonna pour away from the extended leg. So we have a nice big stretch along the whole sideways. Plant the left hand behind you at a 45-degree angle and press into the ground, big stretch. Feel free to roll through the head. Another inhale, exhale. Push ourselves up. Turn towards the extended leg, and just like you did in that wide leg forward fold, you can start to crawl forward. We're going to try and keep our flat back. Feel free again to use your blocks. Another time to check that that thigh is soft. And we're just using the weight of the upper body coming forward to open up the back of the leg. And maybe you can feel something on the back of in the back as well. You can peel yourself up. We'll go ahead and switch sides. Left leg out, right foot in. Maybe a little 45-degree angle as you press the right hand behind you, pour away. Pushing into the floor to lift through the sideways. One more breath. Press yourself up, square towards that front extended leg. Lead with the sternum, so it can kind of feel like you're imagining that there's a string drawing the middle of the chest to your big toe. So you come forward. Remembering to soften the thigh and just use the weight of the upper body. Rotate the blocks as you pause, 5 breaths. Three more breaths. One more inhale and exhale. And come on back up. Move the blocks, extend the legs, a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And slide the fingertips behind you. Squeeze the shoulder blades together as we slide the heels in and create a windshield wiper back and forth before we come to standing. We're gonna move all the way up to stand, which means I'm gonna have to move my camera a little bit. There we go. As you come up, wiggle the legs out. Maybe shake the arms and roll through the neck. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle the whole body. And then we're going to bring the feet out wider than the hips and just start a couple of bounces through the knees. You can have the hands on the hips or out to the side, wherever feels comfortable for you. Little clicks happening with my knees. Now, the next time that you sort of bounce down, this does not need to be very high. We're just going to lean to the right and let that left arm pour off to the side. Nice big stretch. We'll press ourselves back through center, switch, lean to the left, reach off to the side. Come on, back up. We'll press the legs to standing, shake out. Okay, going back into that high squat. We'll go very slowly. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. We're going to sit down into your squat. And then we're going to do a breath and work here where we flip the palms over. So you have the fingertips down and you're pushing through the wrists. And as you start to push the wrists, tuck the tailbone and around. And we'll find a big inhale here. And then you're going to flip the palms up like you're pulling something towards you and squeeze and arch the back. Exhale. Our inhale, curl. And our exhale, squeeze. You'll go at your pace. In, squeeze, tuck, squeeze. Keep going. So you could potentially do this more quickly. But see if you can stay with that inhale, arch, arch, arch the back. Exhale, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze everything out. We're going to keep going. See if you can go for 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one. And come on up. Shake the legs, sway the hips. Maybe you want to sway the arms. That can be kind of heating. You might notice that your heartbeat is raised a little bit. And we're going to stretch the back by coming back into that squat. Leaning forward, let the right shoulder drop down and look as much as you can up and off to the left. And then unwind and do the same thing on the left side. Let the left shoulder drop down, twist and look up and over the right shoulder. You're going to come all the way back up. Shake ourselves out, and then roll, tuck the chin. If you need to come down with a flat back, that's fine. Let's just start to roll. Let the fingertips brush down the fronts of the legs. Pausing in your forward fold. Feel free to sway if you have the blocks, a block underneath the hands for support. And then we'll continue to come down to the floor. Maybe you want to bend the knees and crawl out to all fours, or your best way to get down. All right. We're going to continue with that exploration of breath by moving to a seat. And here's where we'll pick up our blanket. So if you've got the blanket, it might be just best and easiest. The way to explain it is to unfold your whole blanket. And then we're going to wrap it over our shoulders like a shawl. But now, rather than having it rest on top of the shoulders, we're going to kind of snuggle it down a little bit. And then wrap tightly across the chest. So you'll fold one arm holding on to the edge of your blankie, fold that across, and then your other hand comes over and squeeze. And if you wanted to, so it should feel rather tight and like there's pressure right at the top of the collarbones or the top of the chest. What you could do, so this is pretty tight, is take that hand out from underneath and pull a little bit more, or take your second hand and hold on to the bottom, wrap around more, and then you're really pulling. But we're gonna have the sense that it's really tight across the chest, and then we're just gonna take some long, deep breaths, maybe 5 or 7, so that you can feel the feedback of this tight, tight, tight wrap across the high part of the lungs. And as you're breathing in, notice maybe you need to tighten it a little bit or wiggle, but notice where the breath is somewhat, can feel sort of like hovering. Continue to hold and squeeze that blanket. Try maybe 2 or 3 more breaths with the blanket tightly wrapped high. And on this exhale, we're gonna release. Your hands might feel a little tight, so squeeze, release, shake out the hands. And now we're gonna take the blanket, and if it feels better, you could roll it a little bit. We're gonna bring it underneath the armpits and do the same thing, where you wrap pretty tightly underneath the armpits, right in the middle of the chest. And you could anchor with the armpit or anchor with the hand. I'm gonna have one side anchored underneath the armpit as I squeeze, and then the other hand is gonna wrap around, and I'm gonna hold on to my elbow a little bit here. So now with that blanket around the middle part of the lungs, we'll take another 7 breaths or so and just explore that difference in sensation. And it could mean that that blanket sort of shifts, and it's okay to wiggle around and tighten it. But try to breathe deeply so you can get the sense of the feedback of the tightness and wrap around the chest. Keep breathing deeply. And if you're enjoying this wrap, stay there. When you feel ready, you could release that wrap, and you're welcome to just take a couple of breaths with the wrap completely undone. Again, it might feel kind of tight in the hands, so you could give yourself a little hand massage or roll through the wrists or shake the hands and arms out. And you could take a rest on your back if you'd prefer. Or maybe you just want to stay seated, and we'll just spend another minute or so together. And after this next big breath, start to wiggle and shift, maybe a stretch. And if you're on your back, you're welcome to stay there. If you want to come up to a seat, that's fine as well. But wherever you are, you've stretched and moved a little bit, maybe rolled through the neck or the shoulders or shook out, and just placing the hands over the heart in a way that feels good for you. And a moment of gratitude for yourself for coming to a practice. And we thank each other for sharing this virtual space together, as well as acknowledging that all of these practices and tools have traveled through hundreds and thousands of years in hundreds and thousands of unique and diverse bodies, and we are honored and privileged to work with them today. Have a great day.